Okay, so now here is the basic thing you come out of this one. Okay, so this one is not to give you a whole bunch of different information, right? It tells you roughly it's traded at $60 million in market cap. It has roughly about $30 million in pre-tax earnings. And it has about $70 million, roughly $180 million in fixed asset, come up with 240 or so million in book value. So what does it tell you? What do you do next? You look at that one, it took you 5 minutes, you got this one, what do you do next? What?
Figure out why it's so cheap.
How do we know it's cheap? We think it might be cheap, but it's not conclusive yet. You have to go next to find out what is the earning, what is the book, what is the constitution of working capital, what is in the fixed, right? I'm just basically using common sense and common logic. I mean, this is something you have to really think. You don't have to go through any, this is sort of you're still kind of a, savable, if you will. That's why all my employee ever had really never went to business school, never worked for a kind of established management firm, and some of them never had accounting, because I find it's easier to train them than somebody who did. Clearly, it hasn't really demonstrated here. I mean, if you sort of go through, if they're teaching the right way, you should be able to tell right away what it is. Okay, so we did some work, and it really takes no time. Of the 70 million in current asset, you know how much is? It's all cash. Securities, tradable securities. Of 180 million, of the 180 million in so-called fixed income, well, they own 100% of a hotel. They recorded a 30 million as a book. They also own 13% of a department store, which is recorded on the book of 30 million. It just so happened that department store is next page. So it's easy for me to find. I turn the page around, I find the department store. I discover it is roughly had a market cap of 600 million. So 13% roughly give me what? What?
80.
Roughly 80 million. So the book really underestimated the value by another 50 million. And they also own 3 cable companies, mid-teen percentage. And they also own a whole bunch of real estate. And next, I look at that department store. They look at, boy, it has exactly the same profile. They're trading roughly around the cash and security they own, about 2-3 times of their earnings, and they own a whole bunch of a different asset. Turn out they're the second largest cable operator as well. And the next thing I learned is this department store really functions more like a hotel. It's not a department store that we understand here. They don't take any inventory. They basically provide, it's more like a shopping mall. And they charge it by taking a percentage off the top line of all the merchants sell their stuff there. Okay, so you add it all up. Here is what you have. Okay, you're paying $60 million. You have a $70 million in cash. This is no debt. $70 million in cash. You have another $100 million in stock. That's how much is that? $170 million. You have $30 million as a hotel. The value hasn't been changed over the last 10 years. And real estate in Korea has gone up dramatically over that same period of time. I went to Korea and looked at the hotel. I look at all their department stores. It looks quite decent to me. I check the recent transactions of all the things in the neighborhood. They all indicate me that value is more like a 2, 3, 4 times of what is on the book. But supposedly I take it on the book. Supposedly I take it on the book. Let's add another 150 million. How much we have right now? Roughly 320 million or so, which I paid a 60 million. And besides, I have an earning of about $30 million a year. What did I miss? What did I miss? Yes?
Corporate governance?
Good question. What about it?
I mean, I think in that market, you may walk away with nothing. Management can take it from you. You may not have any rational behavior of shareholders.
Any evidence that could happen?
Yeah, I think there's multiple cases in Korea over the last couple of years, although corporate governance has improved. I can think of one that we covered before.
Right.
Because of that.
Terrific point. Absolutely a great point. Anything else?
All your assets are also about 100 kilometers from a lunatic with a nuclear bomb, so that's not really something.
Great point. Anything else?
You could have governmental regulations that could hurt you. An example would be like free electric power, which had
Right.
the government set, low prices where they had basically lost money.
Right. Anything else?
Even the lawsuit liability.
What?
The liability because of lawsuit,
What kind of a lawsuit?
It could be lawsuit from the customer or from the shareholder, or could be from the supplier,
That could happen to any company, right?
Yeah.
You're reasoning that specifically for this company or any company?
any company.
Anything else? So far, I haven't heard anything about local market, as if the only guy who would really bother about this are foreign investors. What about the local market? What about what other investors are seeing and looking and thinking?
What is the competitive landscape like in that area?
Good point. Look at it. That's why I give it to you. I thought you're going to do it. Yes.
Small market.
What's that?
Small market.
Absolutely. And how much is it owned by the insiders? Well, you don't have it there. It's about 50%. You got a whole bunch of different things against you. You also have a whole bunch of different things that really in your favor. You have to go through all of it, each one, and think rationally, carefully. You have to add to that list of the attitude of the local investors, the other people who are buying, because there's nobody from foreign that really own this damn thing, if you check that. So you go through all of that, and we don't have time to go through all of that, but you should. And then you'll come up with a solution. Come up with your decision, as I have. Now I sort of own it. And what happens to the stock since? Well, again, nobody's have any computer or whatever you can check.
We'll trust you.
Okay, so I'll have two charts that I print out directly from Bloomberg. One is that that department store. It was traded around somewhere around 22. Last I checked, it went to about 100. And then this one, start was 12. Last I checked, it's around 70 something. Each went up about 5-6 times.